Hi everyone, today we are going to be doing yoga for runners. So when you're ready, grab your mat and let's get started. We are going to start in mountain pose. So go ahead, take a moment, roll the shoulders back, finding our feet a little more than hip width apart. Bring your hands down to our sides, palms facing out as we ground through our feet. Let's inhale and come into our upwards arms pose. And then let's come down into our forward fold on our exhale. Now lifting the upper body, lengthening the spine, we are moving into our half forward fold. It's almost like we are trying to peer over the mat. And continuing with our breath, let's walk ourselves into our plank. And we're going to come straight into knees, chest, chin pose. Gently bringing the knees down to the mat, then the chest, and then our chin. From here, we are going to shift the body forward and find our upward dog. We are only here for a moment before we bring ourselves into our downward dog. Bring the chest towards the thighs. Now, because we are holding this pose a lot longer than the others, we just want to continue to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. When you are ready, we can start to slowly walk our hands back to our feet. And once we do, we are going to come into that forward fold once more. As we start to transition out of our forward fold, let's start to slowly rise and bring the arms over the head and upward arms. Now let's go ahead and bring ourselves back into our mountain pose like we did in the very beginning. Once again, we are grounding through the feet, feeling the earth beneath us, feeling how strong and balanced we are. Now that we are all warmed up, let's get into the rest of our yoga sequence. As a runner myself, these are some of my favorites, and I am excited for us to be doing these poses together. So we're going to go ahead and start in a runner's lunge. We are going to bring the left foot forward towards the top of the mat, and we're going to bring that right knee down to the mat. So feel free to keep the right lifted if you are looking for a more intense stretch. As for the hands, we are just going to bring them to each side of the left leg, resting the fingertips on the floor. And we will try our best to keep the back straightened and take our gaze to in front of us, feeling that stretch in our lower body. Let's take one more breath here, and then we're going to start to transition into our half split. Now, for half splits, we are just going to move ourselves back as we extend that left leg. We can also move our hands back as we go, and then folding over, continuing with our breath. We are stretching those muscles that we use while running, like our hip flexors and our hamstrings. When you are ready, let's go ahead and move forward back into that lunge. And from there, we are going to bring ourselves into all fours so that we can bring the stretch over onto the other side now. Next, we are going to step the right foot forward towards the top of the mat, making that left knee down to the mat. Again, feel free to keep it lifted if you want a more intense stretch. But we're just going to place the hands to each side of the right leg, resting the fingertips, trying our best to keep our back straight and looking forward. If you're ready, let's go ahead and move that into our half split. Let's take one more inhale and exhale. We're going to come back into that runner's lunge. When you're ready, let's bring that right leg back, taking us onto all fours. And then from here, we're going to come into our pigeon pose. We are going to shift focus back to the left side. So to start, we're going to bring the left knee towards the left hand, and we're going to swing our left foot over to that right side. We are going to keep the right leg back, and we're going to lengthen the spine, keep the chest open. From here, I'm going to invite you to check in with your body, see how it's feeling, how the stretch is making it feel. Experiment with what feels right for you. We can stay lifted in our pigeon pose, or if you would like, you can bring the stretch down onto the mat. If so, we can start by walking our hands forward, gently lowering our upper body towards the floor. From here, you can rest on your forearms like I am, or feel free to bring it all the way down to the mat. We want to listen to our body and find where each of these poses today work best for us. When you are ready, let's go ahead and come back onto all fours. And from there, we are going to shift this stretch now onto our right side. To start on the right side, we are going to bring that right knee towards the right hand and swing our right foot over to that left side. We are keeping the left leg down on the mat, pointing the toes. And then we can start to lengthen the spine and open our chest. Here you can stay lifted, or if you would like, you can bring this stretch down to the mat. I love pigeon pose because of how great it is at opening the hips. So if you are running, I feel like this is a definite go-to stretch. Let's take one more breath here, and then we are going to come onto all fours once more, and from there we are just going to take a moment to take a couple of deeper breaths before moving on. So I'm just going to take my time walking myself back until I am sitting on my heels. I'm going to lengthen my spine, open my chest, and take these big inhale through the nose, sighing it all out on my exhale through the mouth. We're just going to do this one more time, coming in through the nose, letting it all out through the mouth. For our next pose, we are going to find ourselves standing, and this is because we are going to be coming into our triangle pose or Trikonasana. Let's start by pointing the right foot forward, and then that left foot is going to be parallel to the back of the mat. Because we have the right foot pointed, we're going to use our right hand and bring it down next to that right foot. As we are doing that, we are lifting that left arm towards the ceiling. And if it's comfortable, we're going to go ahead and turn our head towards that left hand. Let's get ready to transition onto the other side. I'm going to do this by bringing my left hand back down to the mat, turning that right foot in, just like my left. And as I move over towards the other side, I'm going to start to point the left foot and make that right foot parallel to the back of the mat. You can see that starts to make that triangle, but now on the other side. The left hand is beside the left foot. We're going to bring that right hand towards the ceiling, and we will turn our head towards that right hand, taking our gaze there. Let's get ready to transition into our next pose. We will bring ourselves into standing wide leg forward fold. We want to make sure that both toes are pointing forward, and we're just going to fold forward at the hips, trying to keep that length in our spine. When you're ready, let's place our hands on our hips and use that to bring our upper body back up. And then we can just kind of inch the feet back in until we are in a standing pose. But from there, we are actually going to bring ourselves back down to the mat, and we're going to find ourselves on our backs as we get ready to come into knees to chest pose. In this pose, I like to add a movement from side to side as I feel it kind of massages the muscles in the back. As we are winding down, I invite you to take slower breaths, maybe even close your eyes here. One more inhale and exhale here before we bring the feet back to the mat. And we're going to take bridge pose. For bridge, we want the feet to be about hip width apart. And we're going to be pushing through our hands and our feet to lift the hips off of the floor. You can keep your arms out to the side, or you can even bring your arms behind your back, interlacing the fingers, and we're just going to lift the chest up. There's always an option to place a block under as well if that feels better. I always find bridge pose to be very rejuvenating, and I like to do it in my bedtime yoga routines, so I thought we would use it to wind down as well. But we only have a few more seconds of this pose, and then we're going to start to lower ourselves down to the mat. Okay, let's start to gently lower ourselves back down to the mat. And from here, we are going to straighten the legs. Maybe you have them a little bit more than hip width apart. Place your hands wherever feels the most comfortable. You can have the palms facing down or facing up. And this is going to bring us into Savasana. Make sure you are in a comfortable position. We will be holding this for about 4 minutes, we're just going to really focus on breath and allowing our bodies to rest now. Deepening those inhales through the nose, deepening those exhales through the mouth. Maybe you scan your body, releasing any tension you may be feeling. Maybe close your eyes. We are just going to relax. Let's start to maybe wiggle the toes, move the fingers, invite some movement back into the body, opening the eyes. And we are going to come into a comfortable seated position as we get ready to close out this flow together. But there is no rush, so we are just going to take our time coming into that seated position, taking things slow and gently. And let's even take one big breath together here. One more big inhale through the nose, holding it and letting it all out through the mouth. Now let's bring our hands above the head, reaching to the sky, bringing those hands together, and then hands to head. I choose kind thoughts. Hands to mouth. I choose kind words. Hands to heart. I choose to always be myself. Namaste.